here's some tips on adding and subtracting decimal numbers. Let's begin with 0.63 plus 0.294. So I'll start by writing my numbers one above the other, making sure that I'm lining up my place values, and I'll fill in any zeros to equalize the length of the decimal numbers. I'll start in the rightmost place value, which is the thousandths in this case. 0 plus 4 comes to 4. Next, I'll add the hundredths, so I've got 3 plus 9 comes to 12 hundredths, and I need to regroup that into 1/10 and 2 hundredths. So I'll write the 1/10 up here, and then I'll write the 2 hundredths here, because this is going to be where my answer is. Next, I'll add the tenths, so I've got 6 and 2 plus the 1 that I just carried, so that comes to 9/10. And that's it, that's my answer. So that's the standard addition algorithm. Next, let's move on to 0.63 minus 0.294, and for that we need the standard subtraction algorithm. So I'll start the same way. I'll stack my numbers one above the other. This time I'm subtracting, and again I'll fill in any zeros to equalize the length of the two decimal numbers. Now, starting in the rightmost column again, 0 minus 4, I can't do that because I can't subtract 4 from nothing. So I'm going to need to do some regrouping. So I'll move to the hundredths column, and I'll take the 3 hundredths that are there and regroup them into 2 hundredths and 10 thousandths. And now I can subtract 4 from 10 to get 6. Moving to the hundredths, I can't subtract 9 from 2, so again I got to do some regrouping. I'll regroup that 6 tenths into 5 tenths and 10 hundredths. I'll add the 10 hundredths to the 2 that I already have to make 12, and now 12 minus 9 comes to 3, and then finally 5 minus 2 comes to 3. So there's my answer, 0.336. So that's the standard subtraction algorithm. These other problems that I've got up here, I'm not going to need to do any additional calculations, but I will need to think about exactly how I'm going to solve the problems. So 0.63 minus 0.294. So how do I solve that one? Well, if I'm subtracting a negative number, I get the same answer as if I add the positive of that number. So in other words, I could rewrite this as 0.63 plus 0.294. And we've already done that because we did that up here, and so we know the answer is 0.924. Next, let's move to 0.294 minus 0.63. So before I start trying to use the subtraction algorithm, I need to notice that I'm subtracting a larger number from a smaller number. And so if I start trying to use my subtraction algorithm, I'm going to run into trouble. So instead, I need to recognize that this is going to be the same as the negative of, if I just switch the numbers around. And if I look above, I've already done 0.63 minus 0.294 up here, so I get 0.336. So my answer must be the negative of 0.336. Okay, next one, 0.63 plus minus 0.294. So adding a negative, I'll get the same answer if I subtract the positive. So I could rewrite this as 0.63 minus 0.294, And we already did that above. We got 0.336. This is a 0, not a 6. Okay, moving on. Let's do 0.294 plus minus 0.63. So this is similar to the last example. I'm adding a negative number, so I'll get the same answer if I was to subtract the positive. But then I would have 0.294 subtract 0.63, and I can't subtract a larger number from a smaller number using the standard subtraction algorithm. So what do? Well, we already thought about this up here when we did number 4. We have to switch it around and take the negative. So that's going to be the same as minus of 0.63 minus 0.294. So again, minus 0.336. Okay, next one, minus 0.294 plus 0.63. So I'm adding a positive decimal to a negative one. So you might be tempted to start trying to solve this using the addition algorithm, but you're gonna run into trouble because the addition algorithm only really works if you've got two positive numbers that you're adding together. Here we're adding a positive number to a negative number. So what we do here is recognize that this is actually the same as if we just switch these numbers around. We can see that it's actually a subtraction problem, not an addition problem. And we've already solved this problem a number of times. It comes to 0.336. Okay, last one. Similar to number 7, we're adding a positive decimal to a negative decimal. We solve number 7 by switching them around and viewing it as a subtraction problem. But then we're going to bump into the issue that we're trying to subtract a larger number from a smaller number. And we've already solved that problem. We know that if we run into that issue, we just need to switch it again and then take the negative. So we could rewrite this one as the negative of 0.63 minus 0.294. And so we know that that comes to minus 0.336. So that's some examples of solving addition and subtraction problems with decimal numbers.